What is going on, guys? Today we are back with another video diving deeper into the Rainbow Cup, and today we're actually going to be looking at a versus video, which is, so with these versus videos, I try to take your guys' ideas and I kind of like filter through the ones that I think would be more helpful or more relevant to the current cup, if that makes any sense. Like, I think today's video, while it's not the most like voted on, I definitely feel like it's the most helpful for people. Well, I think this video is the most helpful towards the people that are going to be using Quagsire. If you're just that anti-meta type person, then maybe this video isn't for you. But I guess if you still watch it, you could find out like which Pokemon do better up against a specific version of Quagsire. But I mean, that's really starting to min-max. Anyways, so today we're actually going to be going over Quagsire versus Quagsire versus Quagsire. Except it's Quagsire with Acid Spray versus Earthquake versus Sludge Bomb. Does that make sense? So basically we're going to be taking a look at Quagsire and how it does up against the rest of the Rainbow Cup, depending on which moveset you have between Acid Spray, Earthquake, and Sludge Bomb. So I did touch a little bit on this in the deep dive that we did way back at the beginning of the Rainbow Cup with actually going over Quagsire with Acid Spray. I made a decent argument saying that if you're going to be using it and you like the kamikaze style gameplay, then Acid Spray seems to be doing really well. It has some really high numbers here and there. It's not the best in all areas, but it's like really strong in certain areas if it's your playstyle, yada yada yada. If you're interested in that type of deep dive, then definitely go check that out. If you've already watched that, then this will kind of supplement that video, hopefully, for a lot of you guys. So, gonna break out the handy green marker here, and we're gonna look at some stats for each one of these moves and kind of look at how they perform here. So this first top part here, we do have some stats, which is energy to fire, which means how much energy do we need before we can fire it, the damage that it'll do, and then that damage per energy ratio. So with Acid Spray here up first in this first column, we do have 50 energy to fire for 20 damage at a 0.4 damage per energy ratio. So that's pretty rough. That's really low, but the benefit of running Acid Spray is not that you're getting a ton of damage, it's that debuff, that actual defense lowering ability that Acid Spray carries is what makes it so unique. Whether the opponent even shields or not, you still get that debuff off, which makes it such a very unique move in itself. Then we do have Earthquake here for 65 energy. You get 144 damage at a 2.21. Of course, this is after stab. I felt like it would be better to show that specific stat rather than trying to do whatever. Then we do have Sludge Bomb here for 50 energy. You get 80 damage at a 1.6 damage per energy ratio. So it's looking pretty good there. Sludge Bomb actually like... So I like Sludge Bomb. I really do. But it doesn't fit my playstyle nearly as much as Acid Spray does. Earthquake doesn't fit my playstyle at all. It's very slow. It's just not really like hitting on a whole lot for me, but it does have some respectable numbers that I think we should probably pay attention to. So now let's take a look at a couple of shielding scenarios here, and we'll actually circle the winner of these scenarios here. So in that 0 versus 0, we do have a 58.7 on Acid Spray, a 66.3 on Earthquake, and a 65.2 on Sludge Bomb, which means Earthquake is our first winner there. In that 2 versus 0, we do have an 84.8 on Acid Spray with an 89.1 on both Earthquake and Sludge Bomb. So I'm gonna go with the tie for those two, but we're gonna break out the red marker here and we're gonna just make sure that we know that Acid Spray does not do good there. Then we have our 0 versus 2 there, which is a 7.6 for Acid Spray and a 7.6 for Sludge Bomb, but with Earthquake it does drop down to a whopping 3.3. So let's just underline that to make sure we know Earthquake is not good there. Then we do have our 2 versus 2 here. Now on Acid Spray we're doing a 71.7, Earthquake is a 52.2, and Sludge Bomb is a 59.8. So we're gonna have to give that one to Acid Spray there. Then in the 1v1, this is where Acid Spray really starts to shine here. You do see that 77.2 versus Earthquake at a 65.2 and Sludge Bomb at a flat 62. So Acid Spray does take it there as well. So, the interesting thing here is that Sludge Bomb is tied for 2 of these scenarios, while Acid Spray straight up loses 1, Earthquake straight up loses 1, but Acid Spray actually ends up winning outright 2 different scenarios. So let's actually take this a step further, and let's actually refer to the board over here where I have a spreadsheet built, and I will link this spreadsheet down in the description. If you guys watched yesterday's video on the Venusaur and Ivysaur comparison, I did actually put that spreadsheet down in the comments. Hopefully you guys saw that. If you were at all interested in it, you can go check out that spreadsheet. I don't know if there's a couple of people out there that like looking at the spreadsheets, but it's there if you want to look at it. If not, just whatever. This one will be down in the description if you're that type of person like me. So let's actually take a look here at the meta Pokemon on our first sheet here. We do have a Azumarill up at the top, and I do have each move basically color-coded, whether it's the best one to use, the middle of the road one, or the worst one to use. And there are a couple of scenarios where we do have several ties. So let's actually take a look at the Azumarill one here. You can see that Earthquake is actually our worst possible move to go with, while Acid Spray is the middle of the road, while Sludge Bomb is actually doing the best. That actually makes a little bit of sense because Azumarill is going to have that weakness to poison. That does make a lot of sense given that we want to push a lot of damage there. We're not too worried about debuffing. It doesn't really like help us as much as just pushing a lot of super effective damage. So now we actually move on to the Beedrill matchup, and as you can see, we do win across all 3 of our movesets here, but Earthquake performs the worst out of those. So I guess that's something to be said. Both Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb perform very similarly, but Earthquake is actually the worst out of the 3. Then moving on to the Blastoise, you can see that Acid Spray does do the best, even though we do lose in all 3 movesets there. We end up losing to the Blastoise no matter what, but Sludge Bomb actually becomes the weakest one there. So you can kind of see some of these matchups are really, really interesting. Or we're not going to go through every single one of them. That I feel like that would take a little while. But down at the very bottom here, we do have this little section. Kind of highlight this for you, and you can kind of see that we have some results that are specific, which means Acid Spray is actually better in 10 of these matchups, better than both Sludge Bomb and Earthquake here. Whereas Earthquake is only better than both Sludge Bomb and Acid Spray in only 2 matchups. And Sludge Bomb is flat out better than both Acid Spray and Earthquake in only 1 matchup here. Then if we get into the results anti, I didn't really know what to call this. Basically, if it's just like not recommended to use a move whatsoever because it is the worst possible move out of the 3, you can see Acid Spray is not in that category at all. Although Earthquake does show up here 7 different times where Earthquake just flat out does worse than both Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb. And then in that results same, that just means that we actually tie no matter what moveset we're using. We do the exact same performance across all 3 movesets. Take that for what you will, because I mean by that logic, Acid Spray is... It's doing a lot more than both Earthquake and Sludge Bomb there. It does win more often than not whenever using it versus Earthquake and Sludge Bomb. It is preferred in more of the matchups than either of the other 2. So let's actually take a look not only at the meta, but let's look at the entire cup here, and let's actually try to sift through some of these interesting Pokemon to figure out which ones just kind of scream like, oh, we gotta use one over the other. Now, one thing I noticed straight off the bat, just looking at this screen, you can see Acid Spray right here on the farthest left side is just, it's mostly green. While Earthquake in the middle there is just mostly red, which is interesting, and then Sludge Bomb there at the end is, it's kind of got some sprinkle of green, some sprinkle of yellow, but some sprinkle of red, which I think that already goes to show you how this is gonna go. So if you scroll down through here, you can see most of these matchups are really, really green heavy on the Acid Spray side. And whoo, there are a lot of crazy matchups here. So, some notable ones that we want to point out here are some of the ones that we just do the flat out same across all 3 movesets. So, something like Butterfree, you can see that it says same outcome in that furthest right column. It's kind of cut off on my phone. But you can see 714, no matter which moveset we use, all 3 of those do result in the exact same outcome. So, not one is better than the other. Then you can see in the Electabuzz, it's the same. Then you can see in both the Ho-Oh and the Houndoom, okay, Ho-Oh, whatever. Then in the Jolteon, it's the same. Then Magby, whatever. Then we do have Ponyta, okay, whatever. Raikou, that one is kind of interesting. They removed Raikou from the meta page on PvPoke. I wonder why. Then we do have Sunflora, Victory Bell, Vileplume, and even Weepin' Bell all show up there as just flat out the same no matter which moveset we're going for. Now down here at the bottom again, we do have this result specific. So 35 matchups here are favored to be only Acid Spray being better than either Earthquake or Sludge Bomb. Trying to think of a way to clearly describe this. Basically, 35 times out of every single match inside of PvPoke is Acid Spray preferred flat out more than both Earthquake and Sludge Bomb, which is very good for Acid Spray. Earthquake is preferred in 6 matchups out of all these. There are 92 matchups recorded in the spreadsheet. 6 times out of 92 is Earthquake flat out preferred over both Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb. Then we have one time, only one time is Sludge Bomb actually preferred rather than Acid Spray and Earthquake. Going on to the anti-section, which again is kind of where it's just, this one is the worst performer. It usually means there's a tie between the other two, and we'll take a look at that. So 0 times is Acid Spray just flat out not recommended, whereas Earthquake is actually not recommended 35 times, and then Sludge Bomb is not recommended twice. So let's take a look here. So you can see in this Quilava set right here, this not Earthquake actually tells us that Earthquake just underperforms compared to both Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb. Even though Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb is a tie, Earthquake is still our worst move, even though we do win. That doesn't mean that Earthquake doesn't win. It just means that Earthquake is the underperforming move in that matchup. I don't want you guys to think that not Earthquake, meaning we're going to lose with Earthquake. It just means that it's not preferred in that matchup. We will do better with a different move. So let's look at here, we have that not Sludge Bomb here. As you can see with Poliwhirl, with Acid Spray and Earthquake, we do win, and we actually do the same in terms of performance with both of those, but we end up tying with the Sludge Bomb. So that ends up making Sludge Bomb, even though it's not a flat out loss, it's a tie, it does make it the underperformer in terms of which move we should use. And then in our last thing here, we do have the same result in a lot of those that we were talking about. Basically, I named all of those off. A lot of those are Razor Leaf users, which of course I do have a little note up here for when you guys take a look at this. Basically, just remember that the way PvPoke is going to do this type of matchup, not like the meta type matchup. You can see the movesets are actually included with those Pokemon there because the way PvPoke does that. In the actual entire cup, it actually tries to prioritize moves that are going to be good up against us. So if we're running Quagsire, it's going to choose a move that is actually good up against Quagsire. It's going to be utilizing that grass type move 9 times out of 10 to actually do a lot of damage. So let's actually take a look at an example of how PvPoke tries to choose a moveset depending on whichever Pokemon we're using. If you take a look at Ivysaur here, Ivysaur in the meta section is using Razor Leaf, Power Whip, and Sludge Bomb. You see 75, 83, 75 right here. Those are going to be the scores that we're going to be comparing here. If we run over to the entire meta, where is Ivysaur? Right here. So as you can see, that's already totally different. 512, 412, and 412. So you can see that PvPoke decided to change Ivysaur's moveset from Razor Leaf to Vine Whip for some odd reason. So there are a couple of like little things. I think these are the ones that most people are going to want to pay attention to. For just a quick glance at like an auto-selected like moveset, that it's not going to be as like in-depth as you possibly could get, but it is just a general outline. Definitely use the entire cup page just to kind of see like a random matchup that you could be expecting, like an off-meta Pokemon. But I definitely think that if you pay attention closer to the meta page, it would be a little bit more of a concrete information as far as how good does each moveset do. Honestly, like after doing this video, I seriously still think that Acid Spray is my top contender. I think that it does a lot better in terms of just the raw numbers. It still does a lot better than both Earthquake and Sludge Bomb. Being preferred 10 times out of 21 different Pokemon is pretty crazy. That's almost 50% of the time Acid Spray is actually doing better than both Earthquake and Sludge Bomb, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's better in every single matchup. There are several times when Sludge Bomb and Acid Spray both do the exact same, like you can see in that Beedrill matchup, you can see in the Charizard, in the Executor, in the Macargo, in the Ninetales, Raichu, Venomoth, and even Victory Bell, even though we flat out lose that one anyways. But, I mean, you can see that it's still pretty boss to the nos. That is a pretty awesome move. I definitely still am really feeling the Acid Spray. I just need to practice with it so that I don't completely suck with it. But let me know what you guys think of Acid Spray, Earthquake, and Sludge Bomb. Which one are you guys trying to run on your Quagsire? Did this video even try to change your opinion on it? I'd like to know down in the comments below. If it did, at least try to spark a little bit of inspiration. Just try it out. If you have the Charge TM to waste, try out another variant, or if you just have a whole nother Quagsire that for some reason you have powered up, because I possibly have two, I don't remember, just test it out, because it's definitely interesting. It's definitely a totally different type of play style too, and I think that's always really fun to experience. So that is actually going to be it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember that if you like to like videos, you can do that, but if you don't, you can be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say down in the comments below, and until our next video, catch you then. Please remember, vote for a deep dive in the comments unless you want to see Suicune tomorrow, because this video is going up as of, well, I'm recording this as of Friday. So, I have no idea what it's gonna be. Please. Okay, bye. See ya. Later.